Well, good evening, everybody. It's your host, Sergeant Friday. Today is Monday. If there's anyone in the chat room, what up? What up? Couple in there. Let's see what we got on X. We love X. Do I show up on X? Tyson Paul fight. The joke that is you. Politics and more. Says one viewer, it's probably me inside of Twitter that it's counting me. It's counting me. I can't believe it. I started a little bit late. I did send a what do you call it? What do you call it? I did send Cletus. I sent him a link, but no response thus far. So let's see. How was everyone's weekend? I hope your weekend was as awesome as mine. Did your house offer get accepted? Nah, it didn't. It didn't. I didn't hear back from the person, so that's okay. I ended up buying a bunch of Bitcoin and I stuck some bunch of money in ETF accounts, or I should say money market / ETF buys. And, just chilling. Let the money sit, let it grow. Europe announced they were going to start buying their natural gas from us. So, yeah. Nice. What did you think about that fight? That fight was a fucking joke, right? It was a joke. And again, everybody goes for the clickbait. Everybody goes for the drama. Everybody fucking falls for it. And then everybody complains it's the media that lies to you. When we lie to each other every day to get someone's attention so they come into our stream so we could get the numbers so we could make the money. And it's so fucked up that we act like we don't do that to each other. And what's even more fucked up is we all know we're doing it to each other and nobody says anything to anybody about it. That's why we got what we deserved with that Tyson Paul fight. We got exactly what we deserve. We're a bunch of drama-laden, inept, too lazy to call each other out, too lazy to demand right from wrong. And, we just move on. You could attack a Morning Joe talking some shit and pretending fucking transgenders are women. You could call that shit out. But you can't call shit out when it's someone you follow, like a Dan Bongino or some of the other talking heads or all of these people that come out with all of these fucking clickbait titles. It's absolutely crazy. You go into YouTube and Whoopi was fired and this one was fired and this one quit and this one got slapped and MSNBC drops bombshell. Special. What is it? A poisonous tree or bullshit. The Moscow investigation. Inside the Immaculate Constellation. It's just, why do we have something that provides to us the most comprehensive ability to acquire knowledge and the most comprehensive ability to connect and find a mutual fucking goal to achieve? And we've turned it into a fucking drama-laden shit show. Oh, wait, we got somebody here. Hang on, folks. Maybe this, I might be mistaken that this might be the actual host. There he is in his timely appearance. His name is Cletus.
What's up, Sergeant? You'd ever look down at the bottom of the fucking screen, you'd know I've been here for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, 2 minutes, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I've chastised myself for 2 minutes. If I lasted 2 minutes in bed, I'd have been single my whole life. Oh, my God.
Then you should send the link sooner.
It's funny because if you were here at the beginning of the stream, I did say I sent the link a bit late.
I heard it.
Oh, you did hear it. Oh, okay. See, old Sarge takes responsibility for old Sarge. You know what I'm saying? I don't just preach that shit. I walk that shit. Okay. Oh boy. So what do you think of the fight there, Cletus?
What fight?
What a Tyson Paul fight.
Oh, come the fuck on.
Come on, man. That's what we deserved. We deserved all that hype. We deserved fucking letting $40 million out on the line.
I didn't deserve shit because I didn't give two fucks about it. I already knew what it was when I heard who it was.
I kind of assumed that would be it too.
I'm like, this fucking guy, he's so old that he's either doing this for money or he's going to knock this fucking guy out like immediately. One of the two is going to happen. And our daughter come out of her room, said it's in round 8. And I'm like, oh, it's a fucking dog and pony show. They're just making a lot of money. Okay.
40 million between them, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And that's, Netflix couldn't get the fucking broadcast proper. Everything was a fuck show, right?
Yeah.
But everything we do on the internet is that. It's dishonest. It's a drama fucking laden fucking nightmare. I mean, I daily think to myself, what in the fuck am I doing out here? To what end? I mean, I literally listen to college professors on physics and astrology and equals MC squared and all of that shit, theoretical. I literally listen to that shit on the internet rather than visit all of these streams and do all the fucking because at least within that, my mind can be occupied in a way that, for me, that gives me a real capacity to think. Right? Like it's taken Ann Taylor 2 years to file motions against his initial arrest and the investigation. 2 years, more 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it the first day I read the fucking PCA. I've been saying it for 2 years. Finally, she got around to doing it. And meanwhile, throughout all of these 2 years, you got how many fucking millions of dollars have been dumped into people's pockets?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they bring up all the drama and all the chaos and all the conspiracy. And when is somebody going to fucking check to see if Dylan's involved? When is somebody really going to do that? Because
they have no reason to, because they got their guy.
They got their man.
That's right.
Unfucking believable. Then there was a typo in the paperwork that she filed. Because I read the paperwork. They didn't claim 2011 to 2016. They claimed 11 to 13. So there's a typo in the paperwork filed with the court. I mean, that's an extremely important detail. As a matter of fact, that Brett Payne was asked if the house, if what their camera showed in the house was an 11 to 13 Elantra, and he said, yeah. That happened months ago. How the fuck could you forget you asked that question and got that response, and then you put in your motion 11 to 16? Right?
Yeah.
I'm just besides myself, and that's why I say we deserve that Tyson fight. We deserve $40 million fucking dollars going to a couple of con fucking men, right? Because that's what you deal with every day on the internet.
No, it is. I mean,
right?
We we consume what we are essentially made of on the internet.
Wow, it's over. She's done. MSNBC drops bombshell on Rachel Maddow. Yeah, okay.
I know who that is.
She's a once a week fucking lesbian fucking looks like fucking Mark Cuban. The fucking Mark Cuban looks like Rachel fucking Maddow. They're both ugly. Okay.
Oh fuck!
Holy fuck! It's fucking incredible, and the fucking conspiracy theories and the fucking it's the titles.
Yeah.
And it drags people in. And look, I understand I don't know. I just don't understand why, if something's important to people, and they claim to turn away from the mainstream media and walk into this shitstorm of drama and think that they're better off here than they are over there, when really it's just a different kind of fuck up here than it is there. Right? I mean, the agenda here is purely to make money. The agenda there is to make money, but it's also to kind of brainwash you on the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if that's not happening out here as well.
Oh, it is. I mean, the alternative media is following the mainstream media's lead and protesting that they're doing it different. They're doing it better, but really they're doing the same fucking thing, just not as refined.
Right.
A lot of times.
No, Joe Rogan didn't do that bad, I don't think. He did all right. I mean, but two things came out, like with the JD Vance. Two extremely important things came out of that interview. One is he's completely aware of the corporate fucking fascism that we live under. A lot of people may not know what fascism is, but fascism is when corporations and government collude to subdue you. That's what fascism is. Fascism isn't hating a Jew. Fascism isn't hating a black guy. That's not what fascism is. A fascist government and corporations lock fucking hands, and they walk lock stock And it's their policies combined that control the populace. That's what fascism is.
Well, be careful, because at any time they could change the definition, like, vaccine.
No, I understand that, but there is only one fascism. If you go look at what Mussolini and Hitler did, that's exactly what they did.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are on here, they have no idea what they hear the word fascist, and they immediately think Hitler and killing Jews, and it's just not even close to the truth.
Thank you, Antifa, for that.
Right. and so my point is, there aren't people out here that are educating each other. You look at the interview with Joe Rogan, and JD Vance is extraordinarily conscious of the fascist connection between corporations and government. And I've been out here saying for years and years, man, long before you guys ever knew me, that we need to take action against user agreements. You need you need to break that fucking back of the corporation, and they need to submit to our will. I don't need to go into a parts store and got to give you my fucking name and phone number to buy your starter. Fuck you. It just doesn't it's not required for a financial transaction yet. That's the world we live in, and we don't push back on it. He also was instructed on psychedelics and how they affect people with PTSD, and how there's millions of people taking these psychedelics that are like those magic mushrooms or something, as a relief to PTSD. Now, I can't say that that's true, that it works. I don't know. Like, I'm very skeptical of people that scream marijuana prevents pain. I've smoked marijuana a long time and stubbed my toe and ain't nothing changed. It hurt the same both times, right? It's high or not high. I don't know. I have no idea, bro. However, JD Vance is open enough to say that that's exactly what our pharmaceutical companies are supposed to be looking at, right? Mm-hmm. Potential cures from any particular, especially if it's something that grows out of the ground. It's something natural. And so that those 2 points of corporation connected to government and pharmaceuticals that could provide relief to PTSD, I'm not against any of that. I think that we should actively pursue that, right? Yeah. You don't know, the venom of some fucking spider might cure some kind of fucking nerve damage. You just don't know unless you continually research and check.
Yeah.
And I agree with him. A lot of our money should be directed towards that, towards the natural environment. And all these chemicals that you're trying to make from petroleum, a derivative of that may exist in nature. And I bet you they know that they do, and they're just trying to copy it, if you want to know the truth. And they just don't quite get it right. So, those are important things, but yet you don't see any talk of that on the internet. Not on any social media site, not on especially, Twitter is the big place, or X. And X is generally filled with a lot of fucking clickbait fucking bullshit, just like YouTube. And I got a strike from YouTube, just so you know.
You did?
Yeah.
What for?
Well, because you can't talk about certain topics that they've determined have only one answer, one side. You know what it is. And I don't, what? They banned me from this place. Fuck you, YouTube, you cunt-loving fucking pieces of shit that have dicks and think you're pussies. Okay? Fuck you. That COVID shit. There's only one fucking way you can talk about that. They can look. I wouldn't let them lick my shit off the floor. These sick fucks. So
they took it down as a community guideline strike or what?
Whatever the fuck they did. I didn't even read it. I just looked at it and was like, yeah, well, go fuck you, you censoring motherfuckers. Okay? I really don't give a fuck. I mean, I'll go sit in a fucking room with people with COVID and smoke cigarettes and fucking watch TV. I don't give a fuck. That's not my fear.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
It's not crazy. It's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what the corporations were doing. I mean, look, when I've described fascism, look at what these corporations were doing. And look how they're colluding with the government to get around the Constitution. That's fascism. And, I bet you most people, even in this chat room, didn't know what fascism was. It's just become another fucking word to insult people with. You fascist. Well, I can't be a fascist, you stupid motherfucker. I don't run government and big corporations. I just can't be.
I heard a new one tonight.
What's that?
Was I thought they were talking about the county in Kentucky where the sheriff shot the judge, because if I'm not mistaken, that's Jackson County as well. But they were talking about Tennessee, and apparently one of the local news agencies has had an investigative reporter working on this story for 3 years, and he makes a 5 or 10 minute video about Christian nationalists setting up shop in Jackson County, Tennessee. And I'm like, what in the fuck is a Christian nationalist?
Right, a fucking church of fucking, I don't know. Some
And
church, right?
he was talking about how it's essentially, the same thing as white nationalists. And yeah, I don't know. It was interesting, because I'm like, you spent 3 years investigating something that hasn't even fucking happened yet. I don't know. But it was more of the situation of, why did you bother? Why do you bother bringing this out? Like, I don't agree with what these fucking people are saying, but they've bought land. They're going to live on that fucking land. What is your fucking issue? What their beliefs are? Do you think what they believe and they contain within their land is the worst fucking thing around you? Are you fucking kidding me? And it's like, why did you guys pay an investigative reporter to go do a story about this and bring it to people's attention when these people are just doing what they believe and not fucking with anybody?
Yeah.
Whether you agree with it or not, why aren't you investigating shit that's important and relevant to now? But it's the trigger word of nationalist that the guy was like, oh, well, let me go push this fucking agenda some more. It's just crazy.
And that's why America turned against it. And it's interesting. If you look at the map of the presidential election, Kamala won every state that has no voter ID requirement. States with voter ID requirements, she didn't win it even close. How is that a coincidence?
Yeah.
And I'm sick of these Bill Maher's out there telling us we are not a fucking democracy. We do have democratic systems in place, but we're a representative republic. And we're 50 independent fucking nations. Let's be clear. You can call them states. You could call them fucking whatever the fuck you want. You have 50 different fucking countries in this landmass. And in order for them to be one united state, all right, there's a federal government. And there's rules that give every state equality. And therefore, the electoral college was born from equality. And the only way to earn the electoral college is to win the fucking democratic voting process of the most votes wins in as many states as it takes to hit the electoral college number. It's fucking incredible that these jerk-offs keep running around spouting the word democracy and complaining about something that if it couldn't have been negotiated to be that way, you would have 50 different fucking countries on this landmass, just like you have in Europe. And the fact is that's it. That's the fact. And nobody ever pushes back that way. They just keep going along like that's what I mean. I can't stand Republicans at all, man. They're bad, or they're worse than the fucking Democrats. It's sad, man. It's very sad. And I'm glad Tyson and Paul made $40 million, because that shows you that of the $5.62 billion of you brainless cocksuckers out here, you raised $40 million for two losers that conned you, right?
I was sitting there, watching the end of it. I did watch, I think, I don't know, 3 or 4 rounds of it once I realized it was on. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch this. And I was watching them go, watching them dance around there and slap each other. And I'm like, I have got to become somebody that's known so that I can fucking make $1 million letting Mike Tyson slap me a couple of times. Like,
well,
Mike,
come to find out there was a
stands,
contract that Tyson couldn't get paid unless it went 8 rounds.
Yeah, well, I'll go 8 rounds with him. That at the pace and the rate they were going, I'll go 8 rounds with him for a fucking million, and we'll call it even. Right. Like, I'm just the offer.
Well, look at all the people on the outside that help contribute to this.
Yeah,
this is what I mean, folks. It's like, I'm very, very focused on corporations, but the truth of the matter is, you all do it to each other every day, all day. And then you got the nerve to complain that the Biden family's taking money from foreign countries. Really? That's your problem? That's the totality of our problems? Now, Yeah, they're far-reaching and they're dangerous problems, and they could be world-ending. But yeah, you treat each other like a bunch of fucking broken into piggy banks, right? You throw a ball to break a window, so someone turns their head to look at the window. You reach in the guy's piggy bank and take some of his money. That's all you're doing, and everybody does it to everybody else. It's absolutely fucking gross, man. That's the worst part about all of this is that we're the main perpetuators of the exact thing we claim we're against. How you like them apples, Cletus?
I mean, it's isn't that typically the case?
But that's not the way it needs to be.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, at the end of the day,
Well, we've allowed them to condition us to behave that way among each other.
Yeah, we're not a democracy; we're a hypocrisy.
There you go. There you go. And that's what the hypocrites deserve the Tyson Paul fight.
Yeah.
Right? The joke is them. You're the joke. We're the joke. You participate in a society where the difference between being a child and an adult is fucking lying to each other, to take advantage of each other. That's the society that we've allowed to form around us. Right? It's so fucking bad. And that may even be why people don't know what the fuck gender they are. How you like them apples? Blame yourself for that fucking creation of chaos. Because I'm telling you, I don't want to go into a fucking oil change place and wonder what the fuck kind of oil you're putting in my car and got to ask you, show me. Because I know that it's more likely than not that you'll put some old fucking standard 10W fucking 30 motor oil that costs 88 cents a quart in my fucking car that needs $5 a quart oil. You're more likely to do that than not. That's the society we live
in. Yeah.
And that wasn't done by fucking Clinton sticking a cigar in that girl's pussy. That was done by us. So I'm just stunned. Now, I don't know if you're aware that Trump has actually announced a free college. It's going to be the American University.
No, I hadn't heard that.
It's going to be the American University, and it's going to be based off all of the information that's available to you on the internet, broken down, obviously, to the points that need to be made. So if you want to be, like I've said this, you want to be a helicopter pilot, it's like the Matrix. Go on the internet. You'll know. There's no reason why you can't fucking get a helicopter up off the ground by watching the fucking information on the internet.
I mean, I got a drone license by watching information on the internet.
Dude, you know how many people fix their cars, their dishwashers, their garbage disposals, their fucking all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for years. There needs to be a specific course in searches because search results are staged. All the answers are there, but you need to know how to ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the question will give you a better open-ended answer.
A little course in interrogation of the internet.
Right. Like, if you put in this global warming real, you're going to get yeah.
Right.
But then if you put in historical temperatures of the world in the modern times, you're going to fucking be able to conclude something different. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to create an accredited institution. You're going to get a verifiable, just like you would if you went to Harvard. Same fucking thing. Total diploma, everything. And, they're basically doing that now with online universities. Almost not quite what he's talking about, but yeah, he's made a lot of policy announcements. Wow. That people don't seem to be breaking down and talking about. Instead, they're posting. I didn't want to get into it, man. They're posting this shit. These fucking wacko fucking broads. Most of them are ugly enough you wouldn't fuck them with your enemy's dick, and they're not going to have sex for 4 years. Well, there goes the abortion fucking problem. That's no longer an issue. If you fucking sick pigs aren't fucking, we ain't got to kill no babies. So thank you. Right? Move on to the next topic. Let's get back to something important, something meaningful. I mean, we want to change the country. And what are we talking about? Here, I'll see what kind of shit comes up in my stream on X. Let's see. The deep state's coming. Stephen King. I don't need anybody to retweet that fucking milk carton face pedophile. I don't need to know what he has to say. I don't give a fuck with that guy. Most importantly, he needs a fucking ankle bracelet on him, that fucking sick, perverted motherfucker. Other than that, that's all I want to know is they fucking finally realized his books and his movies containing all those kids were an opportunity for him to molest them. and they caught him and put him in jail. And now he's got a fucking monitor on him. That's fine. I'll go with that. But until then, I don't want to hear nothing. You know?
I did not know that about Stephen King.
Yeah, that's my particular my judgment of the guy. So. Knife wielding maniac goes unprovoked New York City stabbing spree, leaving 2 men dead and one way better ban knives. Right? Here's a story about Sidney Powell and the outrage that she was, attacked for pointing out voter fucking cheating. I don't. That's like fucking years from fucking 4 or 5 years ago. I need to hear that. America will have Kennedy back in the office, destroying the same deep state that took his family. Well, time will tell. That might be relevant, but we don't know what he's going to do.
Let me give you one that occurred this weekend that I think is just the fucking prime example of how we essentially fucking troll ourselves. And there's just a select few that have figured out how to troll us just so eloquently, right? So Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? You've heard he's getting involved in the Sebastian Rogers case, I assume. So he gets on fucking court TV and talks about how he's in Tennessee and he's ready to go kicking doors in to apprehend the people that he has the right as an American citizen to go kick somebody's door in and hold them until he can call law enforcement and get them there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he creates all this fucking outrage and all this hoopla over this shit. And yesterday, there's a news article put out where his son got married in Fall Creek Falls, Tennessee. But there were all these people that were like, "Oh fuck yeah, Dog came to Tennessee. He's gonna go get the Proud Feet and find Sebastian and blah blah blah." No, he was just trolling you motherfuckers because really his kid was getting married and he needed a publicity stunt
to pay for the wedding.
I was like, when I saw that shit, I was like, "You have got to be fucking kidding me! That is hilarious."
You can't kick nobody's door down unless there's a fucking
but my point being, right? He comes out with this statement that he knows is gonna just fuel so much just joy in half of the people following the case, right? And he's gonna fuel outrage in the other half. And at the end of the day, he said that shit just to fuel outrage, so that he could make money and come and pay for his trip to his son's wedding.
And people are so conditioned and brain dead that they just jump along, they click in, they fucking, I don't even know.
I don't know. It was a pretty,
there's what, 330,000 or whatever it is, a significant number of missing fucking kids. And we're all aware, but nobody talks about it or puts up anything about it or does anything with it. Right? There's just so much chaos and problems. And something like that dirty fucking dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
He puts some shit out. It's like now all of this stuff coming out with Brian Koberger. I don't know. It's rather shocking to me that a probable cause affidavit doesn't need to list one fact. I don't even know what the fuck probable. If I need cause to strike somebody, right? Then there needs to be something definitive that shows that cause was met before I fucking hit you. Right? That's just a stupid analogy. But if you can't verify your probable cause affidavit, then anything that comes after that is inadmissible. You can't tell me it was raining on Tuesday fucking night and the wet, slippery roads caused this person running at a high rate of speed to slide off the road and hit a fucking bus terminal and kill people, right? Mm-hmm. And then drive away. You got no way to prove that happened. And in fact, it wasn't even raining that fucking night. And it wasn't a bus terminal. It was a fucking corner. Everything is different than what you said in the affidavit. Then what good is the affidavit?
Yeah.
You can't tell me the kid turned off his phone or you can't locate him for the 2 hours, an hour before and an hour after the crime, and tell me he was at the crime scene. How do you fucking determine that? Then you're going to use the phone to tell me where he was that had nothing to do with the crime scene. I don't want to know that. I don't give a rat's fuck where this kid was at 4:48 a.m. I want to know where the fuck he was between 4 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. as stated in the PC. And that's it. Unequivocally know that he was there. Right? Not random fucking guesses. Oh, criminals turn their phones off. I don't give a fuck what criminals do. I want to know what Koberger did. And to me, any fucking filing in a court of law. I mean, there's no way I'd have been in jail for 2 years like that guy.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. As far as I haven't got all the recent details on it, but my understanding is they filed a motion to suppress anything related to a search warrant and the IGG because they obtained both illegally, is my understanding. And my question is,
say that again. What?
If I'm not mistaken, they filed a motion to suppress anything anything that came from the search warrant or anything related to DNA, his DNA, right? So my question is, what the fuck took 2 years to get the information for you to file those motions?
Well, part of the reason is, I guess part of the reason is she wasn't aggressive enough. And if I was the guy being accused, I would have pushed and got rid of this lawyer. I'm not saying Anna's a bad lawyer, but he spent 2 years of his life and we'll call it the pokey, right?
Mm.
And when you read the affidavit for the arrest, listen, I think that affidavit presents reasonable cause to investigate the man, but not arrest him and charge him with 4 homicides. They kept arguing they didn't use the DNA for anything. That's a rabid fucking lie. That genealogical work was used to identify Koberger. Whether it's accurate or not doesn't matter. Okay? But the bottom line is, everything they gained for evidence after they arrested him was done by a warrant. Where were the interviews of him? They finally now admit they were following him for weeks before the fucking arrest. They knew he was up there in Pennsylvania, and they had eyes on the guy every day. He was there jogging. Listen, the due process in this country is written in fucking books, and there's case law to argue what due process means and what you can and cannot do as a government agent. And that kid is a great suspect. But why didn't you surreptitiously get his DNA beforehand? Yeah. Why didn't you bring him into question? Why didn't, when he parked his car and went into a store, why didn't you get into that car and swab the fucking handles? Why didn't you look in the fucking car? Why, if it was unlocked, why didn't you open the car and look in? Why didn't you sit him down and have a conversation with him? Why didn't you fucking put some heat on the kid and get him to sweat, maybe confess, before you charged him with four horrific homicides that you have no idea as to his location between at the time that it happened? And you happen to claim that you have transfer DNA on a knife sheath, which may or may not be relevant to the crime, because that knife sheath may not even contain the knife that committed the crime.
Well, and part of I was having this conversation with somebody last night about just like searches for missing people, right? And talking about drone usage for that, and how there was a situation where they had been looking for somebody with a drone and flew right fucking over him and didn't see him, right? And then later the person was found where the drone had flown over and nobody had seen it. And the conversation was, how the fuck does that happen? And I'm like, I was using the Idaho situation as an example. I'm like, it seems like we're getting to a point where we rely on the modern day technology and read the books related to how to operate that technology and forget the fucking principles that formed the need for that technology to even exist. Does that make sense? We just throw away the old ways altogether and use only the tools that we've created since.
All right. So as an example, folks, if I suspect that Cletus is the target for that particular Idaho 4 case, and I want to arrest him and I need a warrant to search his property, my warrant needs to be specific to the crime being charged. And anything I request in that warrant to look for must be specific. So a knife, a mask, gloves, paraphernalia related to a fucking homicide, right? And then the location, which would be his parents' house and his apartment, his storage unit. The same thing when it comes to his electronic devices. You can't just willy-nilly go through every single file on the guy's computer. You have to have specific search parameters of items that you would be looking for. And they didn't do any of that in this. These warrants were all items in the home, all items on his phone, all items that he bought at Amazon, all items that he. Now you're not really, you're not, in other words, you don't have any data. You don't know what the fuck you're looking for. And that's not what a search warrant's for. It's not permission to go fishing. A warrant is because you're specifically charged with a crime, and whatever specifically relates to that crime has to be covered in that warrant. They have to be one and the same. You can't go into Kohlberger's house and search for anything for any reason at any time for the last 10 fucking years. You're charging him with a specific crime at a specific date, a specific fucking time. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, I was arrested and my fingerprints were on the door hinges of the fucking door that was removed, the apartment entered, and fucking firearms were stolen. And they wouldn't take me to trial because I was the maintenance man that was in that hallway to paint the fucking hall. What they should have done is they should have fucking fingerprinted every hinge in the fucking hallway or every single area similar. They should have done something more than just get my fingerprint off the hinge. Not to mention I'd been in the apartment as a guest prior to that. And because of those two situations, I was the maintenance man that painted the hallway. I'd been a guest in that apartment. They didn't indict me for the crime. You see, that's the way the law is supposed to work, folks. Sometimes a bad guy gets away with it. And they just didn't go that way with Kohlberger. They just made up some fucking story. I don't know. Car going this way, car going that way, car that. That's fucking nothing. I mean, based on the statements I was reading in the documents, Dylan didn't even identify this guy. They never put him in a lineup, and she picked him out of a lineup. In other words, they've got absolutely nothing but what the Cox.
Well, they didn't need to because they relied on technology, right? They got cell phone records. They got IgG data. Fuck talking to anybody. Fuck, matching him up in a lineup. Fuck anything that's, any resemblance of traditional work. Let's just rely on what a fucking computer says and prepare for the AI age. Let me ask the computer, Google, who fucking did it? Let Google tell me. And we'll prosecute based on intense,
that. Man.
Yeah.
And the simple fact of the matter is, I'm not saying this guy's not guilty. I'm suggesting to you that he did the crime, possibly, but definitely not based on the PCA.
Right.
Definitely not based on warrants issued from a document. Right? They had enough information to bring this guy in and to surveil him and to watch him and surreptitiously get his DNA. They had more than enough legitimate reason to do that. And you could have impaneled a grand jury against this guy, because that's what they do with like organized crime. There's a sitting grand jury. And they'll say, we've been in the field and we collected this, this, and this, and we'd like to get a warrant to pursue this based on these fucking items, you see? And then you get a warrant. You don't just go there and say, yeah, this guy's been a fucking gangster his whole life, and we know this and we know that, and we'd like to get a warrant to search his fucking house for money. That shit don't work, man. It don't work. The system is set up so that they can't do that to you. That's the whole thing. Who was saying that to you? Like Megyn Kelly, all these big heads. Well, we got constitutional rights. You don't have a fucking thing. You have constitutional limits on government. They cannot break them rules. They're their rules, not yours. You're inherently free to do anything you want in a civil society, right?
Yeah.
And there are roadblocks for them to infringe upon your freedom. And they need to go strategically and precisely down a path that keeps them from jumping the roadblock. And in this case, that's all it was like a fucking race with hurdles in it. They just pushed all the hurdles off to the side and ran down the fucking track like there was nothing in their way. And I honestly don't think this guy is going to be tried. I don't think I've said that for years. I don't think it gets to trial. They made too many mistakes. That doesn't mean Brian's innocent.
Right.
Right. But it also doesn't mean he's guilty.
Yeah. It's not a debate of whether he's innocent or guilty. It's a debate of did they fucking follow the law.
Right. Look, if you're playing cards with somebody, right? And there's a mirror behind you and they can see your hand. Are you really playing cards with that person? No. I mean, you don't want to be cheated in a card game no more than you want to be cheated out of your freedom in a legal situation. That's why these fucking limits are placed on government's actions. So when you file for a warrant, If you want to investigate me for embezzlement, right? You can't come in my house with a far-reaching warrant and find some fucking cocaine in a closet, and then all of a sudden start charging me with possession of cocaine. That's completely unrelated. Your warrant needs to be specific for embezzlement. If you're a whatever it is, I don't care what the crime is. That warrant has to address exactly the arguments they're making that you're a criminal and this is the crime you committed and these are the items we need that we believe are in your possession that will confirm it. But it has to all add up. You just can't say, well, it's Cletus. I mean, the guy's been arrested 78 fucking times on minor charges. He must have done it. That shit don't work, man. It's not supposed to work. And that's exactly what I saw happen in the Idaho 4. And why, when I read that PCA, I just shook my head. It's like, and then worse, when they couldn't even verify the arguments made in the PCA. He turned his phone off. There's no argument. There's no evidence to support that statement. Right?
Yeah.
They can't locate the guy for 2 hours, except by what they claim to be videos that might be showing his car. But no way to identify that video, the car in that video, as belonging to him or him being in that car.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know, man. I'd have rather paid for the early fights of Mike Tyson. I didn't pay for this. I didn't even watch it, to be honest with you. But if I had an option, I'd rather go and watch the fucking 45 fights the guy had on a screen, you know?
I would encourage somebody that was all wrapped up in that fight to go back and watch Tyson back in the day and just look at the difference in the fight and tell me that the difference is just because of age, because you'd be lying to yourself. Right.
No,
and
you could have knocked that kid out fucking easily.
I'm telling you, and I'm not even an amateur boxer. I know how to fucking box, but I've never been in a ring, right? But I'm literally sitting there watching the last couple of rounds, and I called it exactly the way it was going to go in terms of the flow of it, the rhythm, the speed of it. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching them, and I saw ample fucking opportunities that Tyson back in the day would have fucking completely knocked that kid out. And I'm like, yeah, he's not even trying. This is literally a show.
See all the hype leading up to the fucking thing?
Yeah.
All those people are also, in my opinion, they're con man complicit. They didn't commit a crime. They conned everybody.
Yeah.
But let me just show you that they did show accurate sparring tapes of him in action for 30 seconds or less. And if he would have done just that once to Jake Paul, he would have killed the kid.
Yeah.
Literally would have killed the kid. So, the idea, like for me, I'm also 58. And so when I'm interacting with people, especially if they're unknowns or there's any uneasiness, I know that I've got 30 seconds to hurt you bad enough to stop you. When I was young, I never even thought of that. It didn't even dawn on me. But at my age now, I try to avoid conflict. But if conflict is going to arise, I've already assessed what I have to do to stop you, whether it be poke your eye out, whatever it might be. And I got to do it fast because I'm older, a lot older, right? And you just can't play fuck with these people. I'm not there to wrestle. I'm not there to fucking play MMA with you or boxing. I'm going to fucking try to take you down hard. And then run if I got to. And I ain't running far. I'm old, man. So I literally have to really fucking put a damaging fucking effect on you. And I know that at 58. Now, a guy like Tyson is a professional athlete, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fucking tangle with that guy. And 10 seconds with him could be all it takes for you to lose your life. And you look at what happened in that fucking and look, there were rules that were set up. Like I said, he wouldn't get paid unless he lasted 8 rounds. Or if he knocked Paul out. And it was a con game the whole way. But this is I use that as an example. That's what we do to each other all day long on the internet with our titles and our retweets. You want to bring up I went after somebody today on Twitter. Let me see if I can even find it. And this to me, the irony in this is just too much. And people don't realize how well programmed that we are. So let me see notifications. So I said to somebody, here's what I said. I quoted this. I said, some liberals calling us illiterate and making fun of us. And I said, I agree with the illiterate part of that video. All of you are posting and reposting this video. That's our problem. And we are too illiterate to comprehend that. To you, I say, go fuck yourself with these kind of posts. We have real issues we need to be aware of, not some feckless cunt's opinion of us. And you know what the person says? But you just reposted it. No, you stupid bitch. I'm calling you out for posting this fucking. I don't need to see that cunt stuff come across my feed. I don't give a fuck what you people think of me. Especially some left-wing fucking Democrat. And so this woman's got thousands of followers. Way more than me. And she's reposting this person and acting like, well, yeah, this is our, here's what she said. But you just reposted it. I get what you're saying, but I think it's part of being human to want to push back on this kind of stuff. I said, no, it's programming. It's not natural to turn your head away from the battle. We have Biden attacking Russia and millions of other issues, and one of them is corporate collusion with government violating our rights. Who will fix this if we don't? You're spending your time showing us that this stupid bitch now has got, that video's been seen by how many fucking tens of thousands, maybe millions of people talking shit about us. And you think it's normal to give that person attention? Maybe I just see everything as a battle. Like, it could be me, but I just think that that's a waste of fucking time. Biden just told fucking Ukraine that they can use our long range fucking missiles. Okay, right? Like, oh. You're posting some shit about that. Why aren't there fucking tens of thousands of us screaming in unison? Biden needs to go. No war with Russia. I mean, that's what they do to us when it's like, we don't want you to talk about cutting your cock off in a classroom. They'll surround us and fucking bomb us with tweets and fucking even follow people around. What do? Well, we might get nuked next week, but this girl called us stupid. So she's a liberal. We need to post about the girl calling us stupid. Yikes.
Well, it seems like Biden just decided, he just fucking hates America in general, right? He bows out of the fucking race and names Kamala as his successor. And then when she doesn't fucking win, he's like, let me let fucking Ukraine throw long range fucking missiles into Russia. That ought to finish everybody off because I'm old and don't fucking need to be here anymore. So what the fuck do I care?
And they get so caught up in the bullshit. Can I just say that 99% of the reason that transgenderism is a topic is because all of you stupid motherfuckers that oppose it can't stop talking about it. That's the problem. The problem isn't the jerk off to cut his cock off. The problem is you keep giving it fucking validity by engaging it over and over and over and over. Right? I mean, look, I just seen it again. There's a picture of all these fucking weird looking fucking women that are dudes. This isn't normal. Well, you know what isn't normal? Us talking about it fucking constantly. That's fucking abnormal. And that's what gives it legs. Right?
Yeah.
Keep talking about Tyson Paul. And then show up and it turns out to be this feckless cunt fucking fight that ain't even a fight. And you act like, oh, what a waste that was. Well, dude, our whole lives are built on wasting each other's time. Right?
Yeah.
Dan Bongino's under fucking consideration for the fucking U.S. Secret Service director. I wouldn't want that guy to direct a fucking poodle in a fucking grass fucking yard to take a shit.
Does he have any background in anything related to that?
Yeah, he was in the military and shit. And his brother was the Secret Service agent that got discharged for fucking prostitutes. Many were underage in a Colombia trip with Obama.
Well, he must be qualified. What the fuck?
Well, look, and I'm not blaming him, but here's the thing: is this guy's never even addressed it. He hides from that. And I guess if anybody has experience on what not to do, just ask your brother, Dan. Your brother would be the number one guy to ask him what they shouldn't be doing as agents. One of them is doing drugs and alcohol and fucking hiring hookers to urinate on Obama's bed in Colombia.
I mean, I'm not I don't really give a fuck about what his brother did as it pertains to him if he wasn't involved. But I do seriously question, like, what could he possibly fucking know about being the Secret Service director?
Well, he was in there, I think. Maybe he might even have been a Secret Service agent at one time and
Okay.
he left. So I'm not saying the guy doesn't have practical experience, but here's what I'm trying to is out of respect for us, right, and his own family. You know, there's got to be somebody more qualified than that fucking radio host. In all fairness, and the fact of the matter is, he ran and hid from his fucking brother, and he's never really discussed it, and nobody really holds him to fucking cue for explaining what really happened. Though here's why I say this is important, just so for people out there that know me. What his brother was part of was in the fucking dossier accusing Trump of doing it. That's, I guess, if there's any reason why I am so hardcore for Bongino, is because his brother was part of a team that actually did what they accused Trump of doing, which is hiring prostitutes to do golden showers amongst themselves on a bed that Obama had slept in. That's what Trump was accused of. And for almost 4 fucking years, those charges floated around and everybody accused Trump of that. And I'm not trying to defend Trump, but the fact of the matter is, if somebody in your family was connected to that, and the president of the United States, like him or not, is being accused of doing it, and it's ruining his presidency, and you don't say nothing about it, you're just another fucking money-grubbing piece of shit like Tyson and fucking Paul. I don't want you running my Secret Service. Get a fucking job at fucking 7-Eleven or something, bro. Or you know, he's got the Rush Limbaugh show, I guess. So, but good God. If one of my family members was a part of that, I wouldn't have kept quiet. I'll throw your ass under the bus. I don't give a fuck. If you did that and I had a microphone and you're trying to say Trump did that, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I'd be all up and over that. That was the fucking Secret Service that did that shit. Whether my brother was involved isn't relevant. He was part of that team during the Obama years. And this can't fucking stand. And I would have came out for what was right to defend the guy that clearly didn't do it. Trump didn't have anything to do with that. I mean, I don't even. And they claim it happened in Russia. It didn't. It happened in Colombia. So that's why I got this like bad fucking view of Dan Bongino. And you know, it is what it is. Who knows? What do I know? I'm gonna have to put something on. I'm gonna have to start selling shit that don't do what it does. I don't even know what the fuck it would be.
I say we bring back the pet rock.
There you go. That was an awesome fucking toy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See this guy, Boston Mom. Well, about 4,000 or 5,000 followers, showing pictures of all these freakish looking dudes that decided, look at, if that's the way you want to live, I say be about that, right? But on your own time. I don't think it should be illegal. I think there should be, like even with anything, there should be limits and there should be guardrails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't drive 100 miles an hour in a school zone for a reason. So don't be bringing that. If you don't want religion in school, then don't bring your sexual bullshit in school. Wait till the kids get to puberty and beyond before you bring that topic up. There's somebody talking about it. Thomas Massey. Yeah, he's got 1 million followers. Good for him. He's got, the actor war endangers the lives of all U.S. citizens. It's an impeachable offense, but the reality is he's an emasculated puppet of the deep state. Yikes. I don't know why Biden would authorize that. You know, my understanding is these missiles that he's authorizing their use of, these fucking, and Ukraine has complained about this. Their soldiers are not trained in the technology that we use. And that makes sense. Flying a drone is one thing, Cletus, but operating an advanced anti-missile system,
right,
and understanding when it goes wrong, when it doesn't go wrong, when it glitches, when it doesn't glitch, all of the finesse and all of the understanding you need to operate these technologically advanced fucking weapons, the Ukrainian army is not equipped for. So that means that's where you hear the term a military advisor.
Yeah.
And we don't need our people on the ground showing these fucking backward fucking goofballs how to launch a highly sophisticated missile to kill Russians. These things. Who divorced who there, Frank? Frank, that's Frank Elefante. He calls himself Frank Murray. I threw his last name away and changed it to Elefante, like I did yours. I call you Cletus. The name doesn't fit, so I have to change it to protect my own brain. Oh man, what the fuck? And that does anybody fucking? Are you surprised if I told you I used to smoke crack?
I would only be surprised if you told me you didn't. Still.
Scroll up. What did Frank say? Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. It's telling me to scroll. How far do I got to scroll up, Frank? The hell did he say? She divorced him. Oh, I knew the woman whose husband invented the pet rock. Oh, well, there you go.
Hey,
he's old too. This guy. He's like, I think he can introduce you to fucking dirt around the planet, but nothing wrong with being old. Right? This element formed when this mountain and that mountain collided. Take you across the plains of the fucking central United States and say, here's what happened here.
Go to the Appalachian Mountains and be like, what the fuck? This used to be an ocean.
Holy shit, bro. Oh man. Oh, there was I was in I'm gonna run this a little longer probably, just to ramble on. You can stay or not, I hope you do. But I was in who's the fat drunk guy?
Gunner.
There it is. Yeah, I was in there. He forgot. Remember when he was on we were all on a panel and he asked me 3 questions and I answered them all and he questioned and I was like he questioned every single answer I gave and they all came back that I was right.
Yeah.
He was like, I ain't never asking that motherfucker. I ain't never questioned him again. He's right.
Yeah.
Well, he was in there talking about Bigfoot today.
Oh.
On his stream. So I went into his chat room. And I said to him that with all the claimed sightings all over the fucking country, right? I mean, there's thousands of sightings from coast to coast, from the center to the edges, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would require millions of Bigfoots, and there's no way that a herd of that size could hide. I mean, then they're saying, well, you don't find any bones. Well, that's because fucking animals and insects and just the general forest conditions of the soil. They don't need to be, they must bury their dead. No, the insects and the animals will consume 99% of it. And if not, then the wind blowing the fucking hair, the rain, the moisture, the soil itself will just decompose the fucking bones, right? So my point was that there is no way to verify Bigfoot exists, but there is a scientific way to show that it can't exist. And I mean, it's scientific in that it's mathematical. You would have to have a major population of animals. And let me just point out that the only animals that we know exist all come from a big population of animals, whether it be a fucking chickadee, a fucking rat, a vulture, a bear, a tiger, right?
Mm-hmm.
These animals have a population, and populations of anything generally can't hide. And then spread themselves all around the country on foot, right? From the swamps of Florida to the Carolinas to even your state, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Washington, to Oregon, to Northern California, to Idaho, Indiana. There'd have to be millions of them fucking things roaming around. And the odds of that are just zero. So then they brought up the megalodon. You know what that is?
Yep.
And I completely support the possibility a megalodon can exist because we only know less than 5% of what's under that water.
Yeah.
There's 95% of it. And it's so vast that our ability to determine whether it still exists or not is highly limited. Whereas with a Bigfoot and all the places that people claim to have seen them, you'd have seen the guy walking down the fucking road, maybe hitchhiking, for fuck's sakes. How the fuck did it get from Washington to Florida? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was pointing that shit out to him. And he actually came around. He goes, I made a few other points on population and reproduction to keep the population stable. And yeah, he was pretty reasonable about that. And he actually agreed with the idea there. Yeah, you know what? You can mathematically eliminate Bigfoot, but you can't mathematically eliminate a megalodon.
Yeah.
Frank saying Bigfoot takes Ubers. That's probably true, Frank. Right? Fucking A. They're picking up our discarded cell phones at the fucking cell phone dump, and they're contacting Uber. So if you see any unusual charges on your Uber, it probably was a Bigfoot.
Wow.
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 Unicorns. Sure. Unicorns are. I thought it was kind of, but they were going over the UFOs, and I'm not a believer of aliens coming from distant galaxies, unless they can get here in an instant. Right? Like you blink your eyes and you're standing across from me in my house.
I'm just sick of seeing the government have it's just another one of those pet peeves of mine where you've got a room full of fucking public servants talking about science fiction.
Right.
And it's literally one of those things where I don't give a fuck what this guy says he saw. I don't give a fuck what this guy thought this image in this fucking video was. Instead of y'all huddling in a fucking room, wasting tax money, why don't you waste that tax money? If the taxpayers want you to provide answers for that, waste the fucking money on paying scientists and physicists to go and fucking prove it or disprove it.
I can also say too that at this point in our where we are as people, that if the government had just comes out and says we have retrieved craft that have come from somewhere other than Earth, I mean, that would send a chill through every other foreign nation's fucking spine. In other words, it would be advantageous for the federal government to make that argument.
And then North Korea would come out and say, yeah, well, we have too, as they launch a Frisbee up into the fucking air.
Well, that could be too. That could be too. That little fucking fat guy might have another button we don't know about. All right. Remember him and Trump? My button's bigger than yours and it works. Remember that shit? Like what the like two fucking school kids arguing. Oh man.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that shit is just crazy, Cletus. So yeah, that was interesting. But I honestly like I said, I spend a lot of time with science and different things. And it's interesting how now, and Frank will tell you this, he's talked to me for a few years. I've always been against the statements made to the public like gravity is an attractive force, and that's just not fucking true at all. I never accepted that, never believed that, and never even thought that it could be possible that just because you're made out of fucking dirt that you have some fucking attractive force to another body in fucking space. Just doesn't make no fucking sense. Now magnets make sense, right? But you can physically see that works. So that's the shit that I get into in my off time. And I've actually always been a believer that the first dimension is a dot for anybody that doesn't know. And the second dimension is what you saw, is what they claim was a big bang. And that the second dimension is only, you know what that is? It's length and width. So the second dimension has no depth. It's like a piece of paper. You aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the third dimension to me is the expression of the first two combined, giving you the third. And the third dimension, I believe, rides within the second dimension, not on top of it as they claim. But their expression of the second dimension in science is that we're sitting on a big flat sheet. I don't know if you've ever witnessed that. An illustration. Hang on, I'll show you real quick. Illustration of it. Gravity. Okay, so if you take a flat trampoline and you put a large bowling ball in the middle of it,
mm-hmm.
Okay, the entire trampoline bows down towards the center, right?
Right.
And that's their expression of gravity. And the idea that space is flat is and they've proved it. NASA in 2013 proved unequivocally that space is flat. You guys can look that up and go see. So how do you live on a flat surface, yet perceive everything around you as round or circular or right? Like the universe is portrayed as a big giant circular disc around us, right?
If Carl is in here, firmament is coming up.
I'm gonna teach the firmament guy something right now. If he just politely sits and listens. The only way that what we observe with our eyes can be explainable, and I come up with this myself. I didn't read this, or no one told me this on the internet. Matter of fact, I've said it to a whole bunch of people, and they probably think I'm crazy, but I think there's some truth to this. I'm not believing anything. It's thinking. If we are on a flat sheet that is objects of mass can distort, how can what we see when we go to the North Pole and look up, you see space. When you go to the South Pole and look down, you see space. You go east, you go west, you see space all around us, right? We're surrounded by space. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. How can that be if you live on a flat surface? You would suspect that if you lived on a flat surface, if you looked up, there'd be nothing there. If you look down, you'd see something. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's only one way for that to be true. How can it be true that no matter how you look, you're looking out into space that's occupied by other fucking bodies or stars or lights? How can that be if you're on a flat surface? And that's because the flat surface is curled around itself like a cylinder. So if you were to take a dollar bill and take the length of it, or take the narrow side and roll it up and then let it go, all the gaps between you. But all of the flat surfaces are all around you now. You're surrounded by flat space. So you see everything that's on that flat space because it's a cylindrical of many layers. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, whatever's below gets shown because flat space is curved around you. It's curved everywhere. And it doesn't have to be an exact cylinder, but that's the only way to explain NASA's verification that space is flat. It's the only way to verify the argument for gravity being the distortion of space itself by a massive object, which causes a depression in the second dimensional space because it's flat. So your fat ass sits down, the chair distorts. That's an expression of gravity. And the only way all that can work and match all of our observations is if flat space is curled around itself. And that's how I've come to understand what we see when we look up at the night sky. I know no one's ever heard this because they would be qualified as theoretical physics. That's my theory of explaining how you can be on a flat surface, and yet no matter what direction you look, up, down, side to side, you see stars, you see suns, you see moons, you see Jupiter, and they travel around us in a circle. How the fuck can you maintain that circle if flat space isn't curved around itself? And didn't Einstein say the shortest distance between 2 points isn't a straight line? It's the bending of space. And how could you bend flat two-dimensional space unless flat two-dimensional space surrounds you on all sides? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Fucking genius, isn't it?
It's fucking genius.
And I come out here and talk to these 5.62 billion fucking morons. Okay? Where's Clue?
She's sitting here.
She laughing?
No, she's working on her merch. She ain't
Her
paying.
merch?
Yeah.
All right, so here, I'm going to post, let me see this. Open link in a new tab. Let me see if it shows it. All right, this is it. And this makes perfect sense because, and here's the other thing too. You know, when you fall, I know you feel like you're moving, but if you fall from a great height, you know it's the earth coming to smash into you. It sounds crazy, but the earth is moving at 67,000 miles an hour, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you step outside of an airplane, you're heading, if say the airplane's going 100 miles an hour to the north.
Right.
Okay. It's not going up and it's not going down. It's maintaining an altitude. And you step out of that fucking plane, the wind resistance in the air is going to immediately begin to slow you down. But when you step out of that plane, that initial step, you're going 200 miles an hour with the fucking plane. Mm-hmm. And the idea that you're falling is a sensation. It's based on your point of observation. Somebody from space looking at that would see the planet come up and crash into you. It's no different than when you're in an elevator, right? And you jump up. Doesn't the elevator come up and meet you, or do you fall down onto the elevator floor? It's all based on your point of reference. That's what relativity is telling us. That's why they call it the theory of relativity. It's all relative to your point of view, your perspective of where you're observing it from. So the guy falling out of an airplane, would have the same sensation as a guy in space. And literally, the planet is heading at 67,000 miles an hour, coming right at you, bro. And it's going to catch you.
No, it's a fair point.
Right?
It's a fair point.
That's way off Tyson. But let me see here. I want to see if I can't put this up on the screen so people can see this.
If you run down the street, you don't run into the car runs into you.
No, that's well, that's true. If the car's going 40 and you're just fucking jogging down the street, the car could come over and hit you. Sure.
It's the same principle.
Why didn't it present? Did that shit present to the screen?
I see a little tiny window in the bottom left.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Hey, I'm gonna hop down, Sarge.
All right, bud. Yeah. You see a little tiny window there. Close that. Invite. Nope. Stop screen share. Is it still showing it? Yeah, it is. So, save image as my desktop. This is an accepted understanding of what we're seeing, or what is gravity? How does gravity work? A lot of people don't realize that when they launch a rocket, folks, part of the reason it's so hard to get into space is you're already going 67,000 miles an hour, right? You have to get enough engine power to get away from Earth. A lot of folks, it's easy to understand when you think of the Earth as a moving object, but they don't really kind of explain that to people in school. Present, let's see here. Screen share, window. Here you go. All right, let's see how that presents. Why in the fuck is it still showing so small? Yeah, I don't know, but you can kind of see that, I would hope. Off to the side, is it here on YouTube? See what it shows like on YouTube. On StreamYard, it doesn't show up that well. But you could see it on YouTube. The blue surface is space. The bowling ball in the middle is Earth, or a major mass, a sun. And the reason why you move at a specific speed around the fucking sun is that speed of travel around the sun prevents you from falling down that hill. It's kind of like, and Frank did this, right? Didn't you guys do that with the motorcycles, Frank? You were there when they first started doing that, or were part of it, where they would run a motorcycle in a circle. They'd run it sideways. So the circle wouldn't be, it would be, they'd be driving around the round walls. That's basically what the Earth is doing in orbit around the sun. The heaviest object will fall the fastest. Gravity not necessary. It's merely common sense. But no, if you take two objects and you put them in a vacuum, they will not fall at the same speed. The Earth will come and connect with them. The Thunderdome, that's it. Frank knows what I'm talking about. Now, we call it falling, and there's some sense to calling it falling, right? Yeah, the globe of death, the Thunderdome. Some of you guys may have seen that in a movie, or you may have seen it as a show at a circus or a other events, where the motorcycle is inside of a round wall, and they ride the wall just as if they were right. If your living room were round, and they were riding halfway up that wall around the living room, we're not ever falling off of that wall. Kind of crazy. What do we got here? Let me go back. Let me kill this. Kill it. I've killed it. So anyway, that's the kind of shit that kind of, to me, is better than listening to some of this politics and all this crazy fucking clickbait. Get you nowhere, do nothing for nobody, but put some pennies in people's pockets. And they amount to millions for some people, obviously. when you get millions and millions of fucking hits. So there's no argument that you can make money doing it, and a lot of people do. I just think that there's a much more effective use for this tool we call the internet. And here now that we seem to have some political headway, and people that appear to be and are saying things, that some of these ideas, especially user agreements, that could benefit everybody, would be a great idea to break this fascist connection between government and corporations. That conversation somehow has to get started. Yeah, where did Carl go? I didn't see much of what Carl said. The heaviest object will fall the fastest. Gravity not necessary. It's merely common sense. Unless you're in a vacuum. And then it's different. That's why they say an object in motion will stay in motion until an equal or opposite force is applied. So and that's the other thing too, folks. When you see all of our science fiction shows where you see spaceships that maneuver like aircraft on Earth, that just doesn't happen in space. If you throw anything, if you fire a bullet or if you throw a softball in space, it's going to go straight. And there's nothing in space that allows that, like air on Earth, the atmosphere on Earth, allows a plane to manipulate its direction of travel with air pressure. Like cars can change their direction of travel because of the friction between the tire and the road or the surface it's driving on. Boats can change direction because of water. But in space, there's nothing for you to grab a hold of. It's empty, completely empty of everything, gases, anything. And so therefore, you can't make a gradual turn in space. You can't make a hard right turn in space. That's why I struggle with these craft that need to make these claims that they make these 90-degree turns at tens of thousands of miles an hour. You can't even do that in space. You have to arrest your direction of travel to change it. I mean, and you know, there's a lot of proof to show that when an object orbits Earth, when it gets down below 17,300 and something miles an hour, it'll start to fall back to Earth. Actually, what happens is it's not going fast enough to maintain the speed of the Earth because the space around Earth is being moved with Earth. So it isn't just Earth moving, the space around us is moving with us. And when you get to orbit, you've got to maintain a circular speed around the Earth, kind of like if you were, I don't even know how to say it, but if you're on a boat and you're fucking jogging around the deck of the boat, you're in contact, you're part of that fucking boat. You're going to continue to move at the speed of the boat. You're going to stay with the boat. When you get to the back of the boat ain't going to leave you and you're going to fall off. You're going to stay on the boat because you're part of the boat. Same thing happens to all the gases and atmosphere around the Earth. And space itself is moving with us. And you have to get to a speed fast enough to stay outside of the limit of where you would fall back into the Earth. Just like you do with a marble, like that trampoline I showed you. You get a smaller ball or a marble to circle around that bowling ball, and it will not fall into the bowling ball, and it will not pull away. So it's a very specific speed. You've been told, respectfully, I'm curious. Have you been there and know this for sure? Yeah, no, there's scientific proof that this is true, Carl. You know, you don't make left and right hand turns in fucking space. You have to arrest the direction of travel you're in. Remember, an object will stay in motion unless an equal or opposite of force is applied. So if you're traveling at 10,000 miles an hour towards the moon, directly towards the moon, right? Or if you launch from the North Pole and you go straight up at 10,000 miles an hour, right? You can't all of a sudden make a left-hand turn and go fucking west. You can't make a right-hand turn and go east. There's no way to do that. That motion of going up has to be arrested. That energy has to be depleted. It has to be redirected. And there's that in space, it's not like on Earth. So on Earth, you can launch from the ground and go 10,000 miles an hour and turn right, left, up, down, because you've got the air to work with. In space, there's nothing. And so, you know, you would have to have rocket engines all over that fucking craft so that you could redirect. Space, moving around in space is nothing like moving around on Earth. So when you see science fiction movies showing craft flying like they fly on Earth, that is not possible. It doesn't work like that, folks. And that's because I've read and I've studied and I know that to be a fact. Right? That's where a lot of these scientific theories come from, folks, when they say, because it makes no sense. An object in motion will stay in motion. But we all know if you roll a ball down the highway, it ain't going to keep fucking rolling and not stop. And why? Because of the accumulation of friction of the road will eventually, over time, overcome the force that was applied to move the ball. In space, there is no force to overcome that force that you applied. Nothing. No, it's to go the opposite direction, Carl. You literally have to find a way. Frank's been there in his mind. You walk around, you can't stop in your own head, right? You literally have to find a way to arrest the momentum of the direction you're going in. So take going north out into space. You're going to keep going straight up north. If you're going to use the Earth as a reference, remember, going straight is relative to your point of observation. So going straight off the Earth and calling that north is only north because your observational point of reference is the Earth. With a fucking we've already labeled north and south and west and east, right? We've determined these markers. So relative to the Earth, if you were to take off and go straight up from the North Pole, you're going to go straight until something stops you. Even if your engine's cut off, you're going to get to a speed that the force applied by the engines, even when that stops, you're going to keep fucking going. In order to stop, you need a rocket at the top of the ship to fire up to arrest your momentum. Gradually, obviously, you wouldn't want to stop dead. You'd fucking fly out the fucking ship and kill yourself. You get smushed. So yeah, traveling in space, where she just pointed out extremely correctly, it's a void, a vacuum. I have to go with Sargent on this one. Anyway, things like that fascinate me. And things that I see on the internet disgust me. So, it is what it is. Okay, the moon distorts space as well. So here's what they're doing, Lucky. When they use the moon to bring you back to Earth, they're getting into the area of the moon that's distorted space by its mass. And they're entering an orbit around the moon. Okay? And as they come around the moon, they add power. And the speed to maintain the orbit of the moon is broken. Okay? That's why you can use an object like the moon to change direction and come back home. So you would need to know the speed you're going, the orbital velocity required to orbit the moon, and the amount of velocity. All the fuel has to be calculated. All the locations of the rockets and however you're going to propel yourself needs to be calculated. And then when you get around the moon, you can be what they call captured in its orbit. And that's the curvature of the space. Just like we move around the sun, we are captured by the sun. And our speed and our mass and our direction around that sun is maintained by our speed. Okay, so it would be, okay, so take that mattress that they showed you, that trampoline with the bowling ball, right? Or a funnel, and you want to change direction. So when you come into that curvature of space from the moon, you ride that curvature of space around the moon. That's what you're doing. And then as you circle the moon through that curvature of space that you've dropped yourself into, okay, that changes your direction because it's a force that's being applied by the moon to the space you're traveling in. And so as you hit that orbital area, you'll come around and then you'll break free. So sure, I would suspect that even it might be, I don't know that he's going to do that, but it might be that when they launch to Mars, they will use the moon as a way to help increase their velocity and to tune in their direction towards Mars, to mitigate the amount of rockets they need to adjust their trajectory. Because it's not easy to change direction in space. You need a lot of energy to do that. Unlike on Earth or water or a road, you don't need that much energy to do that. Just like being in a Thunderdome, exactly. Yeah, other things, yes. Things that are traveling at the right speed, at the right time, in the right direction can be caught in the moon's orbit. Yes. As a matter of fact, there's rockets that we launched in the 70s that are caught in the sun's orbit. We just had something in space they couldn't identify. And then when they did an analysis on it, a spectral analysis, the object that they couldn't identify ended up having titanium in it. And white paint is high in titanium content that they use on these rockets. And they determined that it was like one of the Apollo missions' main engines that was caught in the orbit of the sun. It'll eventually decay with anything that can't, even your satellites in space, folks, they have to fire rockets to adjust their orbit. They have to fire rockets to maintain exactly where they need to be so that they don't fall back into Earth. How does someone in the 60s? Because it's just math equations. It's just math equations. You know, you know a speed that you can obtain. You know how much mass you have. You know how much energy you need to move that mass to get it into the sky, get it into the fucking space. And then you have vacuum. And there's two kinds of engines too. There's an atmospheric engine. There's a vacuum engine. And then you would know how much fuel you would need. And it's not a constant burn. You're not constantly pushing with the rocket to get there like you are in a car or a boat or an airplane. So in space, Carl, if you bring your spaceship or your rocket to 10,000 miles an hour and shut the rocket off, it will stay at 10,000 miles an hour with no more rocket. That you don't need as much fuel as you think you need. You need maneuvering thrusters. You need a means to slow down, right? And you need those so that you can then obtain orbit around the moon. But space is a whole different animal because, as Gray Pearl said, it's a vacuum and it's completely empty. That's why when you see these, it's like a fart, maybe even not. They knew this in the 60s. How is that possible? What do you mean, how is that possible? Come on, when was it we had rockets for how long? Since the 30s and 40s. What do you mean, how is it possible? It wouldn't be that obnoxious. Everything you're seeing today, I don't believe comes from any other thing than a progression. You could see a progression of our technology where no one interfered to give it to us, or we didn't have to go find it. Look at the vacuum tube and move forward. And you'll see everything that you use today and everything that you're seeing as technology, you'll see its grassroots comes from simple things like steam, the steam engine, then the combustion engine, then the turbine engine, and blah, 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 blah. The same thing with electronics. You can, people act like there was going around one time that night vision was an alien invention that we adopted. But no, you can draw a line to our own technology and our development of technology to get to where we are. They knew this in the 60s, yeah. Well, it wasn't even just a German dude that knew that. They were saying that an object in motion will stay in motion. They were aware. Here's another thing that's funny. Why, if you take a picture of the sun from space, why isn't all the space? This is a good fucking point, folks. This will freak you out. When you turn a light bulb in a room, the entire room is lit. We can all agree with that, right? It would be a mathematical formula. It wouldn't be that hard to figure out, Carl. It just wouldn't be. But let me go to this, folks. When you see a lot of pictures of satellites in space, you see the satellite clearly brought into the lens, but then everything else is black, right? So why is it when you turn a light bulb on in a room, the whole fucking room is lit up, but when the sun is burning as it burns, right? Why isn't all of the space lit up like a room? Has anybody even asked themselves that or questioned how could that fucking be? Because when you use a light on Earth, it does exactly what I said. It lights up the area that it's within. Now, the sun is huge. It brings Mars up to 70 degrees during the day. The sun is huge. It's putting off tons of fucking energy. It's, I don't know how many millions of times bigger than the Earth. It might be 1 billion times bigger than the Earth, if I'm not mistaken, right? So why is all the space between us and the sun black? Does anybody know why? Creeps across the state. I don't know what that means. But there's a reason why. Atmosphere is absolutely, yeah, that's the big deal. We're living in the Truman Show. Not quite, Gray. Space is empty, folks. Light can only be observed if light can interact on something. So you can have light in a local area. You in fact, you reflect light. Everything that mankind can observe reflects light. And things that we can observe reflect light, but on a wave that we can't observe with our own eyes. But space is empty. Space is empty. So the light that the sun puts out can't be observed until it comes in contact with something that can reflect it. And nothing cannot reflect light. And I've always thought that we're beings of light. We are the embodiment of light. We are the living creatures of light. We're in existence as light. And religions get into this in ways that are quite interesting. More than just a let there be light thing. But light, look at the one side of the moon faces the fucking sun. It's lit up like a fucking. But if you had a spacecraft hundreds of miles away from the moon, you might be able to see that if it's in the line of the sun. It would reflect the sun, so you would see that. But if you looked off the backside of the moon, all you would see in space is infinite blackness. Man, it might be it's a slightly different rabbit hole. But space is an extremely interesting thing, and how we float around in it, move at incredible speeds, and do all the things that we do. And then there's still people out there like Carl, not to name any names, that think we live on a flat fucking a flat planet. We are energy, but the energy that we are is expressed in the ability for us to reflect light. We're energy that works within a wavelength of light that you and I and our body and our minds and eyes are all able to interact with and observe. And I agree. We are all energy, but we're a particular type of energy. And I honestly think that science has made a big mistake by ignoring Tesla, bearing in Tesla stuff, and not getting us to understand the vibration of life. Energy is everywhere, but whether it's free or not is another argument. I mean, that's a common thing people like to say. And that's a common thing people like to say. Energy, it's our perspective. For instance, we're dreaming of doing things, but we're doing it from a box that's been built. Like as an example, I try to think out of the box. So when I say space is flat, NASA's proven space is flat. That flat is fucking flat. That's what it means, right? It's got width and length. It's flat. So when I say that flat space curves back upon itself over and over and over again, right? And that because it's space, because it's empty, because it's black, you don't see the overlapping of space because there's nothing there for you to see. That flat surface that you're on. And so when you look out into the sky, you see all them stars, all them fucking distance away. They're still on flat space, just like you and I are. They're on the same piece of flat space that you and I are, just a different location. How do we get from here to there? My big point is that we're trying to solve problems with an understanding of what we already understand. We miss and lack understanding and knowledge. We lack perspective. And Nikola Tesla did have some fantastic ideas. Well, listen, electricity would be, that it would be free for the world, and they couldn't stand that. That's part of it. I honestly think that's part of what Nikola Tesla was showing us, but I also think that what Nikola Tesla was bringing forward was something even more profound than that. Something even more profound, and that the understanding of vibration and the understanding of humanity and its consciousness. I think what Nikola Tesla was eventually pointing us towards was that it's not free because of a machine. I think what Nikola Tesla was trying to tell us was that the vibrations that make everything that is and make everything that ever is and ever will be and ever has been, everything has to vibrate. And I think that understanding of that and how to manipulate that probably doesn't require a machine. And I think that's where Nikola Tesla was taking us. I think that's why Nikola Tesla was a threat, because it would have provided a level of freedom that could never have been broke, without calamity, without destruction, without, how many times have our planet met, and the humanity and the creatures on it, how many times has it met extinction? It's that level of vibration. It's that understanding of resonance that goes beyond free energy, and free energy being not necessarily something that'll power a car. I think where Tesla was trying to take us would have enabled us to do what we do with a car with no need for the physical fucking machine. That's personally what I think Nikola Tesla was where he was headed. Why he talks so much about the ether. And I think what he was doing with his machines may not have been just a simple way to obtain electricity and transmit it to all of us. But that may have been a first step in getting us to understand that electricity is, and that energy, whether you call it electricity or not, you could call it fucking manure. I don't care what you call it. But that's available to us as human beings. That's what I think he was actually trying to show us. Or I think he was trying to prove that as sentient conscious beings, and when people say we live in a simulation, just realize that every simulation is an individual simulation. That's something that never really gets talked about when they talk about we live in a worldwide simulation. Yeah, but we live in a simulation based on 8 billion different fucking people, right? 8 billion perspectives, 8 billion desires, 8 billion different ideas, 8 billion different. And if you try to go down this road and then ask yourself, okay, so when you're born, folks, you why do you think you don't remember anything when you were a little baby? Why do you think that the first thing they try to do is educate us and teach us? That's what I think Tesla was going to eventually expose. Yes, you need education. Yes, you need to be taught. But as you've all pointed out, or many of you that are very clever pointed out, everything vibrates. How come we weren't taught to interact with those vibrations? The better question is, do we interact with those vibrations? And I'm going to say to you that we do interact with those vibrations within the simulation that we've all been educated to create. You know it's a table, not because you have some intimate understanding of the universe and its workings, but because you were told that was a table, that it's made of wood, that that's a tree, and that's a blade of grass, and that's a canary, and that's a ship, and that's a dog. Those are things that are given to you to fill your mind with a perspective to view the world through. And I think this is where Tesla was trying to bring us. His first point was to show that electricity was definitely available and usable for the masses without the need to burn fuels. Okay. But he was also much deeper than that. And he talked much, much more about vibration. And he actually ridiculed Einstein and their particle physics. As crazy as I may sound, folks, I've always said this, and Frank will tell you this. I know personally, through my understanding and what I think is reality, that if children were put into an environment where parents flew around the house, if there were a way to provide that understanding to a newborn child, that within a very short few generations, if even that long, children from infants being exposed to this would fly. I really think that as human beings, we're much, 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 much more than this bullshit we see on the internet. This fucking clickbait, this fucking programming each other. And let's be clear, we've been programmed. They say it's a simulation, and I don't discount that it is a simulation. But what I also don't discount is that at a moment's notice, what they call an awakening, that humanity can actually make the simulation be whatever they want it to be. It could be a place where no one lies. I mean, I never really understood it. That's one thing I could never get my head around. And believe me, I've told my share of lies in life. I'm no fucking, I'm not throwing fucking shit at glass houses when I live in one, because I've lied too, okay? But I really think that if you reason it, just be reasonable, to what end does the lie serve a purpose that the truth couldn't also get and even get more from? You do good service, you give the people what they ask for, and people live off a tip. Some people get really good tips. I mean, there's examples of the truth becoming very, very profitable if that's our goal, right? You're right. Kids can see things that adults can't. And why is it for some reason that the first year or two of our life we aren't able to remember any of that? And that's universal through all humanity. Yet you can recognize your father's voice while you're in the womb, and when you're born, that voice is familiar to you. So that shows me that there isn't an inability for the functioning of the mind, for the functioning of becoming part of a reality. And so I think that's what Tesla was ultimately going to work his way to. We don't have self yet. I argue about user agreements. It's been, we live in what we would call a materialistic world, or inventive world. We're in this form and we do these things. And I truly think that there is absolutely no question, if enough of us demanded Elon Musk to stop with this user agreement bullshit, with his personal information and personal need to know who we are, where we are. Amazon stopped listening to us on their machines, and everybody did everything for the truth, to just be honest, just for the purpose of being honest, because we've all trained ourselves to try to mingle through a world of dishonesty. We can also train ourselves not to live that way. We do have the power to create. I think the power to create is 10 billion times greater in each and every one of us. Somehow in this existence, though, in this whatever we are, we're content with building a wheel. We're content with building a wall, right? I think we could have a blissful world, provided that we're actually sharing that amongst each other and acting that way amongst each other. That's all it takes for reality to take shape, folks. I mean, there's many teachings that prove that to you. Ye have little faith, you can move mountains. And in big groups, folks, miracles, they call them miracles, can happen. Is that really a miracle of God? Is that really a miracle? Or is it really just nothing more than enough people willing it to be? Yeah, I've always questioned everything too, but it seems that there's so many different focal points in history and so many different things that have happened through what they've actually shown us, that you have to have the sense of or at least a thought that they're not showing us the truth. And if they were showing us the truth, then why all of these lies? Why would anybody be inspired to lie about me to the oil you're putting in my car? Why would that even be wouldn't even be something you would consider? No, but isn't that why government tries to keep us all separate? You're black, you're short, you're fat, you're ugly, you're toothless, you're hairy, you're bald, you're fucking dumb, you're look at all these ways that this reality has shaped the way we view the world. And that's the big scare to the people that actually probably understand what it is that I'm rambling about like some fucking lunatic. They have an understanding. They know, right? Well, that's on a personal level, Gray. I mean, on a personal level. Now, you see there's writings of people living 1,000 years. And here in America, you're lucky to hit 72. There was a time in human history where 35 was considered a ripe old age, that you were lucky to be alive. Right? We brag that we've doubled that. And it's this, it's not even, you can't even blame modern media. You can't blame modern media for doing this because mankind has been divided. And the biggest division was religion. I'm not saying religion is bad, but I am saying that religion is a place to manipulate the human mind, the human view, the human interaction. Is where they mastered this. Why the Roman Catholic Church got to be to the size that it was. I don't know whether it's in decline or not, but all of these religions and all of these different nationalities and all, the different looks. The Chinese are short and the Japanese are short and they're yellowish, and this guy's brown and he's tall and he's muscular, and this guy's white and he's tall. Right? All of these differences are what's focused on. And that's the tragedy of people that are governed by people. And I don't think someone like Joe Biden or Trump knows the real truth, but I think that there are organizations that don't want mankind to see what mankind is truly capable of. I really think it's almost ridiculous to worry about going from here to there in space. I really think that the capacity to do that is already within us. And they do everything they can to keep us from getting there. They put, like, all the science that I look at is another way to keep me from looking at how to move from here to there without needing a machine. I look at things through the same box that you're in. I may look at different things than you're looking at, but we're all stuck in the same fucking box. How do you get outside of that box and not take the information the box gave you with you? Yeah, I think Trump has a better, this is the world we live in. So let's go with this. We live in this world, and the world is what it is. And I think some people have an intention to try to make the world a better place, to try to give people a better chance to be better for themselves, be better for their families, be better for their neighbors. I think Trump is one of those guys. And I don't think the ruling class really is necessarily the people that know what's going on. I really don't think that the ruling class, like Trump or Biden or anybody, I think that there's something else under the scene behind the fucking curtain that has a complete understanding of humanity in its past. I think that some of what I'm showing also may account for some of the egregious fucking extinction level events that have taken place on Earth. I mean, we don't know. We have no idea what was around during the dinosaurs, except for the big giant bones that survived. We don't know. We think we know. We act like we know. Worse of all is, and this is why this is another topic. Man, I could talk for days. But when people talk about, I believe this, or I believe Koberger did it, that's the biggest sin mankind commits against himself every single day of the week. They've convinced us to believe in man's information. And it's the one thing we were told to never believe in. That, to me, is the biggest secret of all. I believe Chevy's better than Ford. Well, you shouldn't attribute belief to anything. Really, the statement should be, and we should be taught to understand, that my personal experience with Chevy has been better than the Fords that I've owned, and I prefer the Chevy. As to whether one's better or not, that's a subjectable thing that you can determine. You can physically determine which vehicle is better, right? And yet we believe. They've convinced us to believe in different things. To believe in God, to believe in this, to believe in that, to believe in like science. I don't believe in science. It's what they have to show. It's what they have to explain. It's what they have that they can verify in one way, shape, or form. And I accept that based on the evidence given. Not all of science. There's parts of science I completely disagree with. As a matter of fact, I got a strike and they may kick me off of YouTube, and I really don't give a fuck. To be very honest with you, if that's the end result of what they want to do, they can go ahead and kick me the fuck off here anytime they want. I don't have any issue with that. Let's see here. A simulation with constants. Atoms vibrate at a constant. They do, but every item has a different amount of atoms. What did they say, Sergeant? What did who say? Oh, YouTube they gave me a strike and a warning or something. I don't know. They're fucking veiled threats. You guys should have seen my fucking. You want to know? What they give you this option that you can I'll use the word contest. That's not what it is. But basically, you can argue that you're innocent. And when they give me that option, here's my argument. You're a bunch of cocksuckers. I hope your mother fucking sucks as much dick as she did to birth you. Go fuck yourselves. That's what I do when I put in that thing where you can argue against their fucking striking you. I just call them in fucking nasty, filthy fucking names and make fun of their mothers. And then that's what the fuck was the option they give you? You know what that term is, Frank, that they do when they give you a strike? Oh, you can appeal it. You can appeal. That's my appeal. Fuck you. I fucked your mother. Thank God that fucking didn't create you, you sycophant motherfucker that's into fucking this bullshit communist fucking thing you do out here. So I directly attack the fucking people at YouTube when I do an appeal. It's like the highlight of my day. I do that at Twitter too. Twitter suspended me a few times. I thought Elon Musk got rid of you and the fucking mothers that birthed you fucking pieces of shit. I just let him have it. I don't care. I mean, there's other things on the internet that definitely catch my attention. And coming over here and into these sides, I guess my attention keeps coming back to this because I really would like to see people fucking wake up and start using this tool as a tool to fight for what's right, to get us all on the same page on things that don't have to have any political bend, religious bend, just a human bend. Right? There's so many things that bother me. Everything on TV, I see these commercials. Here's something else too. Who the fuck created streaming TV? We need to find this person and sit them the fuck down. Right? And set a few car batteries around that motherfucker to just give the idea something's going to happen that ain't going to be nice. And ask them, what the fuck happened to the fucking favorite channels? To clicking a button and going back to the channel you came from. I'm watching football. I want to watch Deep Space Nine on the commercials. I got to fucking back out of fucking football, get to a home menu, scroll down the menu, pick Deep. By the time I fucking do that, the football game's back on. Who complicated the TV like that? It used to be, in my area, Channel 10, Channel 13, Channel 8. All local channels had football. You could put those 3 channels in favorites and flip through the games. You can't do that on a streaming TV. A smart TV? That's about the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Smart TV. That just drives me nuts. So I stick my TV on one thing and just leave it on in the background while I go do my research and different stuff. Yeah, I remember when he had a cable box along where he had to get up and turn the channel by hand. But even then, maybe I should write software, which I don't know how to do. And figure out a way to write software for these things to work that way. It used to be, I forget the channel. Say channel 100 was history. Channel 93 was fucking science and whatever. Say 4 different numbers were the channels that I watched: science, discovery, history, and some car fucking channel. But you could flip through those. You could hit last. You could hit favorites and scroll through 4 channels, get to the one you want quickly. But not anymore, man. They've made TV a chore. And then every time a commercial break comes on, the top left-hand corner of the screen says 103 seconds. So now you're doomed for 103 seconds to sit there and wait. So, I'm fucked up. I play a game with that. When I sense my show is taking a break, I immediately hit mute on my remote control. I don't want to hear your commercials. I'm tired of all these fucking bankers trying to get my money, offering me free money from Dave. Join this and get an early payday. People don't realize the damage they're doing to their own future by joining these fucking banks to get you to do that. Why do we got to wait till Friday to get paid? Because that's how it is, stupid. And if you can spend your money according to the money you earned, then getting paid on Friday should be no more fucking complicated than if you were paid on Tuesday. But no, you can make an early payday now. You can. Oh my God. These bankers are so far up people's asses, it's not even funny. And you're destroying the American currency. You're making the American currency obsolete with all these electronic transactions. Now, I get the convenience of electronic transactions. I rival in that, but I run a business that does a tremendous amount of money And I'm not taking your plastic. You got to write me a check or pay me in cash. I'm not taking your plastic. I don't want to hear shit about credit cards. 9 people in here and it's silent. There's more people in here than 9. There's actually most of the viewers I think are from Twitter. Yeah, there are. 57, 58. That's why. Yeah. I look, but my point is not so much when you get paid, but all these new electronic gizmos, gadgets, and bank fucking ways of getting money that obviously you're going to be paying interest and fees on, and as time goes on and people become more accustomed, there's no fee. Yeah, there isn't now, but it's coming. Oh, it's a coming. It does with everything. And I don't know. The American currency, that's another thing. Good news. Putin says he's happy to buy oil with the American dollar. Once Trump was elected, a lot of leaders around the world have actually done a 180-degree turn. And another thing I think we should be doing, maybe not at this point, but after Trump gets elected, is we really got to start campaigning for J.D. Vance for the next 4 years, right? Because whatever Trump does in 4, you've seen what Biden did. The minute you elected a Democrat, he destroyed everything. So, and the other thing, too, is we got to stay on our Congress and our senators. They need to pass laws. I don't want everything to be done by executive order again. Vivek is decent. I think everybody he's got around him is the best thing about them is they're not indebted to government. Like any of you people in here, you're not indebted to government either. But we also then sit back and think, well, I don't got $100 million to run for fucking Senate. I understand. And that's why I had said we ought to pay a tax for all these elections. All right. And then people primary, and the people that are picked in the primary then should be given that fucking money to run that. Pelosi will be gone. Mitch McConnell, you see, somebody brought up earlier, Joe started walking off into the Amazon forest. I don't know what that's all about. I didn't really see that, but did he really do that? Said something on a podium, then turned around and walked off into the forest? Lucky an orangutan didn't grab his ass. Well, let's hope the Simpsons are wrong on that one, right? They're not always right. It's funny, some of the things the Simpsons do put in their shows that have, like Nostradamus, they have appeared to come to be real. As a matter of fact, the one book that I borrowed from a library that I never returned was a book on Nostradamus. How crazy is that, man? He was looking for clues of Amazon packages in the Amazon forest. How do you know he was doing that, Lucky? Are you just being silly? Insider trading with the NVIDIA. Listen, I think Elon is kicking everybody's ass with what people are calling AI, which I call ingenious algorithms, not an independent intelligence separate from humanity. AI, to me, is just algorithms that are able to collect all known information on the internet and assemble it to give you an answer. Now, when it can start creating chemical cures, and it can start creating different ways of transportation, especially in space and getting to space, that are far superior to what we have or something we didn't think of. When a computer can get to that point, then I'm all about it being an artificial bit of intelligence, when it thinks outside of the box. But what people are calling artificial intelligence relies on the same data that's in the same box that we're in, and we're building it from the same box. I mean, it is much more clever. A lot of you may not remember, but it wasn't that long ago that speech recognition in computers just wasn't working. There were programs out there, Dragon, voice to text, where you would talk to your computer, open up Windows, and it didn't work that well. The nuances of people's voices, the different accents, the different pronunciations of words was a big problem. But they sorted through that. The computers didn't sort it out themselves. Man, and our knowledge and our attempts and understanding, and that, you collect all the data. And yeah, it got better over the years, but now, you can Talk directly to your phone and tell it to type something. It'll do it. It'll open up Google. It'll do whatever you want it to, whatever its ability to do is. Right? You could shop with your voice. You could change television channels with your voice. You can do a lot of things. Maybe that's what I can do to get around this problem of jumping through menus. I gotta make a note. Use voice. My remote control allows for the use of voice. So if I use voice, maybe it'll take me from Deep Space Nine back to the football game. Look at that. I always say to my Alexa, I call it computer. And I'm starting to regret that because I do watch Star Trek and they're always saying that word computer to talk to their ship. And my fucking Alexa turns right on, waiting to hear, and then starts asking a question I didn't even ask. It's kind of crazy, man. But I say to my computer every day, computer, it'll light up. I'll say, my balls itch. And it'll just,
sure how to help you with that.
See, it just said it. It heard me. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. I say that to my computer all the time. My balls itch. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. I'm saying, scratch them motherfuckers. Yeah. So it's kind of, I guess I'm kind of childish. What are you going to do? All right, it's been quite a long stream. Lucky's like, oh my God. Look at the wide variety of fucking insane topics you guys have put up with tonight. You all got to be crazy to sit in here and listen to me. What do you think, Lucky? Our firmament man took off, right? Whatever happened to Carl? Carl, did you duck out? I know Frank has got to be to bed, but Frank works like 10 men. Frank has always worked like 10 men, so he's got to be in bed by now, I would think, or at least heading to bed. Something. What in the hell? Like, why not? It's insane. Let's see. So we do got a lot of listeners. We got 61 views over there at X. X. Yeah. He got bored and left. Yeah. I didn't engage him directly enough. And he didn't start the 4-minute argument, and I thought he would when I pointed out that space is flat. And then went on to explain why it doesn't look flat. Why flat space can be viewed in a 360-degree fucking way. And I think in some respects, maybe even Einstein determined that or said that. I can't say for sure. But all right. Well, it's been an awesome fucking couple hours. I appreciate all of the people that put up with me. And to those that live off of clickbait, I don't even know. I don't know. I can't fix you. I can bitch about you, though. Oh, I hope he does find stuff to argue with me in the future. That's good, see? Nothing wrong with that. Or have a discussion with me. Because I like to say, you can't learn unless you're wrong. You weren't born knowing how to tie a shoe, and your attempt to tie that shoe, well, you were wrong many times. You just keep at it. You figure it out. So being wrong isn't a bad thing. Being wrong is a good thing. So, live from the Cock Tower in Beijing, China, it's Your Ass Hurts News Network. And we will be back. You all stay good, be happy, and don't fall off the earth.